Welcome back to the final part of What Remains of Edith Finch.
Mom spent months searching for my brother. Then she sealed the doors.
Let's have a little look around Milton's studio before we head out. Obviously he was a very talented young man. We did look through his animated flick book, The Magic Paintbrush, and saw him paint himself a magic door and walk through it.
Whatever Milton had found in the house, Mom didn't want it getting out.
Let's have a quick look round the back here in case there's any clues. Just a couple of clay pots. It's a lovely full moon this evening. Right, let's head up to the very top of the house.
Mom definitely blamed Edie, but I think Louis blamed himself. After he graduated, he just spent more and more time in his room. Until Mom got him a job at the cannery.
So I won't be going this way. So how the hell did they get the front end of a boat all the way up here? Is that a block and tackle? Maybe they winched it up. Okay, let's have a look around Lewis's.
Louis's room smelled very, very familiar. That part of him lived on.
This is where Lewis came to chillax after a heavy day's work at the cannery. Apologies for saying chillax, that's dreadful. So he had a 2-monitor setup, maybe he was a bit of a streamer.
Louis and I spent a lot of time playing games together, but he was surprisingly bad at them. He died a lot.
But he did get his Orcas Island high school diploma.
Dear Mrs. Finch, as Lewis's psychiatrist, I can understand your desire for an explanation. As I see it, the trouble began in January, shortly after we convinced your son to seek treatment for substance abuse. Newly sober, I believe Lewis first noticed the monotony of his daily life.
You would have thought they could have automated this kind of work.
He kept working at the cannery. But he withdrew part of himself. In our sessions, I saw the same behavior. His mind began to wander. I asked him to describe it. He said he started small, imagining a labyrinth. He'd feel his way about. Then something moved. Bats. And toads. And things that have not names. He knew it was all in his head. But he took it very seriously. I had hoped he'd find himself. But he found something more. I worried about him then. Daydreaming at the cannery.
So this is very clever. With my right hand I'm doing the fish, chopping the heads off, and with my left hand I'm controlling the character from Lewis's imagination. It really makes you feel as though you're daydreaming like Lewis is.
I spoke with his boss, but he said Lewis had become a model employee. Methodical, tireless, focused. Like a whole new Lewis. So I let him go on. I even encouraged him. It seemed very promising at first. He told me he'd made a new friend. On the edge of a city he named Lewis Topia. He built the city up slowly, brick by brick. Then he made musicians. And songs for them to play. He talked about starting a band. And he was always humming something. Every day his imagination grew stronger. He no longer spoke at the cannery. But his chopping was as reliable as ever. Then one day it struck him that all the cheering crowds, even the stones under his feet, were all in his imagination. So he could do whatever he wished. He held an election for mayor. And he won. They begged him to stay, but his mind was already wandering. It became a game for him. He'd conquer a city, then immediately push on. New Louisville.
Let's hope he doesn't have an accident with the cutter.
St. Louis. He started drifting away from our reality.
Makes you want to try and grab the boat, but you can't interact with that. Only the fish.
Minneapolis. Until one day he forgot to go home from the cannery. Even as his mother pleaded with him, part of Lewis kept sailing on.
No wonder his boss liked him. Guess I should try and avoid these rocks.
In Louisburg, he heard rumors of a beautiful prince. The prince was on his own quest for
Okay, let's take sinister serpents.
sinister serpents. He followed the sound of his
Let's go for the electric sitar.
electric sitar.
Missed one.
His chase led him to a golden palace east of the sun and west of the moon. Even then, his logic remained sound. He knew the world was all in his imagination.
It all looks like Twinson's A Little Big Adventure, if you remember that one. Oh, slow down with the fish, please.
But he was so proud of having created it.
I tried to grab it.
In his own eyes, he'd become something greater than a king.
A Gamer of Thrones.
For someone who'd never known success in the real world, I think it was overwhelming. And then it struck him that the real Lewis was not the one chopping salmon, but the one climbing the steps of a golden palace. My imagination is as real as my body, he told me. It was hard to argue with him.
And reality doesn't really look so good, does it? Leave all that blood everywhere, it's disgusting. Okay, that looks like Lewis's locker. Looks like the Wii U in there. And a menu for Chinese food.
He began to forget the world we know. I think it pained him to remember Lewis, the cannery worker.
My sympathy goes out to anyone who's had to do a job like this.
He began to despise the man with a royal contempt. I still thought I could save him. Even after he said he was being crowned king over all the lands of wonder. The palace would be packed with his companions.
That's wonderful.
Including the wise Calico who'd insisted on advising him.
Thank you, one and all. Thank you.
His prince waited, holding his crown. There was only one thing left to do. Bend down his head. I think you know. Mrs. Finch, your son was a kind man who will be missed by all of us who knew him.
Poor old Lewis. Let's hope he's escaped to that world in his imagination.
My brother was really cool. I wish you could have met him.
It looks like we've done everyone in the tree now. The house is like the tree. We've worked our way up to the top as they built and extended the house with each new generation. If you'd like to leave me in here for a while longer, I wouldn't mind too much.
Lewis and I spent a lot of time playing games together, but he was surprisingly bad at them. He died a lot.
Yes, you said that before. Okay, out through the exit.
On the way back from Lewis's funeral, my mom told me to start packing. She waited until the day before we left to tell Edie. I'm not sure if she wanted to make it easier or harder. I wish we'd stayed. But I understand why we left.
So this is Edith's apartment. He'd never finished packing, really.
My mom ended up leaving everything behind.
So they left in a hurry.
What happened that night had been coming for a long time. Maybe it should have come sooner. But it had to end one way or another. All that's left now is to tell you about that last night.
It's like there's a picture of Edie's 90th birthday.
That whole last day, Edie just watched us pack and didn't say a word. Until supper, when she raised her glass and said,
"To our final night together, and all our final nights apart."
Grandma, you know what I said about alcohol. Some of your medications are very
Edith,
specific.
I left a present for you in the hallway. Why don't you go open it? The grown-ups have to argue now.
I'm sorry, you're right. We're all leaving tomorrow. Let's just enjoy our last...
I'm not leaving.
Edith, you're excused.
So there's a present in the hallway somewhere.
the power had been shut off that morning, but Edie always had plenty of candles. When my mom sealed the library, I don't think she knew about the other entrance. Or that Edie had a key to it.
That thing you're afraid of isn't going to end when you leave the house.
So we can't leave the curse behind, if you believe in such things.
Edith has a right to know these stories.
My children are dead because of your stories. I think it's best if Edith and I leave tonight.
It's very peculiar.
We'll have the nursing home send a van for you in the morning. Okay?
History of the Finches by Edith Finch.
Dear Edith, there's so many stories I wish I could tell you, but there's only time for one. This is about what happened on the night you were born. That night, the tide went way, way out. It was the first and last time I ever saw the old house aground. There'd been an earthquake out in the middle of the ocean. They called it the lowest tide in 1,000 years. God, it smelled awful. You know, I've seen that house every day of my life. But I never thought I'd go back to it. When the fog rolled in, I lost my way.
I wanted to get to the house and have a look around. Damn it.
I got turned around.
Sea fog's a killer.
I started seeing things. Things I'd forgotten had ever existed. But when I saw them, they felt like old friends. That night, a lot of things came back to me. Or maybe I came back to them. Things I can't explain, but that I need you to try and...
Edith, what are you doing in here?
It's mine.
Edith!
Mom, you're gonna rip it! Let go! I kicked and screamed, but Mom dragged me to the car. I never saw Great-Grandma Edie again. The next morning, the van came to pick her up, but she was already gone. After that, we moved around a lot. We both tried to make the best of it.
It's a very sad and tragic family, the Finches.
A few years went by. My mom didn't like to talk about it. But she started getting sick a lot. The rest happened pretty quickly. She got better for a while, and then she didn't. And then I was alone. The last Finch left alive. Until I found out about you. I'm still not sure what to tell you about all this. If we lived forever, maybe we'd have time to understand things. But as it is, I think the best we can do is try to open our eyes. And appreciate how strange and brief all of this is. This journal was supposed to be for you. But now I hope you'll never see it. I just want to meet you. And tell you all these stories myself. But I guess if you're reading this now, things didn't work out that way. This is where your story begins. I'm sorry I won't be there to see it. It's a lot to ask, but I don't want you to be sad that I'm gone. I want you to be amazed that any of us ever had a chance to be here at all. Good luck.
So it was her son who was travelling on the boat at the beginning of the game and opened the book left by his mother, and we relived the stories that were in that book. Edith Finch's journal. I'm guessing that she probably died in childbirth. Thanks for joining me on this series. It did have a dark and melancholy tone, but it was also full of surprises and wonder. It really needs to be played rather than watched, so that you get immersed into each of the stories. This is a game I'm sure I will remember for years to come, and also ponder. Thank you.